Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca, and we're here today with David from Sounds Good Agency. And we're so excited to talk a little bit more about conversion rate optimization. But first, I'm going to pass it on to him to tell you a little bit more about Sounds Good Agency.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks for having me as well. As you said, I'm David. I'm the founder of Sounds Good Agency. Recently, we've had some big news on our hands. We basically got acquired/merged with a bigger agency here in our local market in Czech Republic.
Amazing.
They were not on Shopify before, and they were planning to expand there. So this is something that is bringing a lot of news and improvements and a revolution. Generally speaking, we are quite hyped and excited about it. And I think this is my first quick interview or podcast or whatever you want to call it since then. So very cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, congratulations. That's really big news. And so obviously you're a Shopify expert, which is why you're on this podcast. Awesome. Well, that's amazing. Congrats again. Very excited to talk to you about e-commerce then today, obviously you being an expert. So first question that I'm going to dive into is everyone says e-commerce is dead and Shopify is dead. I would love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah. So first of all, I need to ask, who are those people who are saying that Shopify is dead? It's true that e-commerce is going through a difficult period, but it's not just e-commerce. It's commerce in general, is the economic situation, crisis all over the world, the interest rates high as hell. It's hard to make business nowadays, much harder than it was 5 years ago, for sure.
Right.
That doesn't mean that the e-commerce scene is over or it's dead, even if you're seeing in some markets a slowing down of the e-commerce revenues, generally speaking. However, we are not so far away from where we were or where we would have been if COVID haven't hit us back into 2020. So actually, if we compare the growth of the e-commerce market with what it was before COVID, we are still growing. We just had this anomaly, and now people have to adapt to the new reality. And regarding the fact Shopify being dead, I think we are quite far away from it. This year, they got in this Magic Garden quadrant as one of the biggest leaders in the e-commerce world in terms of technology. Wow. And they are doing huge strides in terms of better serving their enterprise clients, B2B clients and merchants. So I'm definitely sure that Shopify is going to keep growing in positive ways, and is going to be able to start targeting new type of merchants that in the past were relying on something like SAP, Salesforce, Magento, and so on.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And I think, to your point, what you said, when people say Shopify is dead, maybe it's a dead end because it's so hard in a highly competitive market. So with that being said, what factors do you think store owners should really focus on for this highly competitive market to be able to compete?
Sure. So there are a couple of things to consider. First of all, it's much harder nowadays to be a reseller. So basically buying something from somewhere else, putting on your website, getting traffic from Facebook ads and profit from it. It doesn't work like that as simple as it was before. That doesn't mean it's not possible. I've met a month ago with a client. They are actually a big business from Croatia, and they are really doing the most basic strategy possible, which is buying cheap, selling expensive, or more expensive. So they have a margin, and they are expanding fast. So they are in 10, 12 countries, and they are just being very aggressive on the targets they are going, then on the market they are going towards. They are not just trying to locally win, but globally, or at least within their continent of EMEA. And because of that, they can diversify the risk a lot. If you have all your bags in one basket, which it could be just one country or one acquisition channel, then you may suffer. The same could apply if you are just trying to get all of your traffic through SEO. And then for some reason you make a mistake, you start losing organic traffic, you don't know what to do next.
Right.
So they are diversifying a lot, and they are working very, very hard to make sure that their business works, and it's working very well. But it's not for everybody. They are 5 people full time, and by full time it's basically almost 24/7, just working super hard.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy as it was before, but it's possible. but it's super important to have a competitive edge. You know, if you have a unique product, unique service, unique USP, you always can become successful, you know. And regardless if you are doing through retail, market, e-commerce, whatever other type of social selling or sales channels that you may have, it depends 100%. First of all, what do you have to offer? What is the big change that you are going to give to my life that's make me willing to give you money for your services or products?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, those are really good points. And obviously there are factors that come into conversion rate optimization, like you're talking about.
Sure.
Having that unique edge really does help with the competitive market today. Switching slightly over into your opinions about the role of site speed in e-commerce today, naturally being Nostra.
Sure. I've seen, how can I say, in the US market, it's often an afterthought. Speed, CRO, how to make my website slightly better. It's something that people worry once they get some interesting revenue already. If you look into the European market, people worry about that from day one because the market they are targeting is much smaller. So there is there is lower volume, so the competitive edge has to really be there. So from the beginning, they are worried about site speed, about perfect SEO, about the perfect user experience, and so on. Which doesn't mean that they are often willing to put in the budget. And there is like a lot of discussion that need to happen with management, ownership, e-commerce directors, so we can allocate the right budgets to make it happen. But
Right.
at least they are already educated to the fact that it's super important. You know, without it, we're going to leave money in the table. I would say that the majority of the clients that came to us over the last 6 months, 1 year, all of them as like one of the basic requirements that they always have is blistering fast. You know, I don't want any client to leave because of speed. I don't want that to be a problem.
Right.
You know, so everybody is aware already that it's super important. The merchants are aware, the market is aware, the users, the customers are aware of speed, very much so.
Yep.
So not considering or leaving it as an afterthought, it's a huge mistake that I think could definitely cost you like a lot of money. Percentage wise, easily 10-20% of your revenue could be in jeopardy because of it.
Yeah, that's a massive amount of revenue. Yeah, and you mentioned too, obviously users are very aware of it. And I mean, as Nostra, a site speed tool, we're also trying to basically say that, you know, there's a lot of user experience implements that affect how people come on, how they use your website. And so I want to hear your opinion about the overall user experience and how maybe different CRO aspects create customer loyalty, or they don't, or they ruin it.
Sure. So I think there was a trend, a bit pushed by the typical drop shipping websites that want to make a quick buck quickly, easily, fast, which was create fake urgency, use fake reviews, use anything you get, like fake user generated content just to try to validate your product. And people are getting smarter and smarter about it, you know, even the political and legal bodies out there in the world, like European Union, are fighting very strongly against this type of dark patterns or dark e-commerce patterns. So, for example, I think from next year to be completely forbidden and with huge fines if you have fake reviews in your EU websites, you know?
Wow.
So definitely there was a push for the push for conversion rate optimization was based on weak foundations, and that definitely can bring like more losses than wins. What people should focus about when they think about CRO is definitely look at the data, look at how people are behaving on your website, and there is a lot of analytic tools that you can use for that effect, even Shopify's own analytics, Google Analytics, and so on. Hotjar, Clarity from Microsoft, whatever you want. Just get the data and ask the right questions, you know? See how people are dropping from entering to your website, finding a product page, adding a product to cart, reaching the checkout, not reaching the checkout, dropping from the checkout, etc.
Right.
And based on that, you are able to see what are the points that you could like try to, you can infer from that data some of the reasons why people probably didn't purchase from you.
Right.
It's not easy to do, and it requires maybe sometimes some questionnaires or some interviews with the clients directly, focus groups. It's hard work, and it's hard work that doesn't pay off from one day to the other, generally speaking. Sometimes it does, but it's not always the case. But if you do it consistently over the long term, you can every single quarter see a slight improve, 5%, 10% in the conversion rate, etc. And those things eventually, usually and most of the time, really pay out, and you have a very clear return on the investment.
Mm. Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. And, further talking about that customer behavior and customer experience, customer behavior seems to be evolving. And so what do you think the future of sites are in terms of conversion rate optimization? I know you're talking about those big fines and, people, the dark side of e-commerce, but I would love to hear on the brighter side of the future of e-commerce, in your opinion.
So I think the future is something that Shopify hinted at this year, maybe last year, when they started more and more speaking about commerce and not so much e-commerce. The future is basically omni-channel or multi-channel. People won't care that much, and you shouldn't either, if people are buying from you online, from Facebook, from Instagram, from a retail, from a wholesale. You just want the sales. You just want your product to be known. You just want to optimize your services, products, and margins so you can be profitable. And that's much more important than the almost sick or this mind virus that the D2C brands had for a long time, which was, no, we are D2C, we are cool, we want to have maximum margins, we're going to sell only online, and we are seeing like a lot of brands that even IPO'd in the States struggling with the fact that actually they need to go retail as well. They need to actually have their products on shelves, and they need to increase their market share through those patterns and approaches. So the future of commerce is omni. The future of commerce is make the life of your client as easy as possible so they can touch and interact with your brand as much as possible within different channels where they are. It could be TikTok, it could be TV ads, it could be billboards, but create interaction points and make it as easy as possible for people to buy, And e-commerce definitely revolutionized how easy it could be to buy. I remember when COVID hit, and Shopify was like trying to make it super easy for people to buy things that usually would buy normally on the physical space, like the QR codes so you can buy a coffee from the van driving by, this type of things. And this definitely is a positive and it's important, but at the same time, play with the pop-up stores, play with the different partners that were able to sell your products on their own stores and so on. Think big, think where you can be, and try to be in as many places as possible. And for that, of course, you need a very strong infrastructure like Shopify offers, so you can centralize data, synchronize different systems, and make sure that the customer has clear and coherent experience, So if you're thinking, for example, about loyalty programs, which are very important for these aspects we are discussing,
Absolutely.
I want my in-person purchases to also apply to my discounts on the store, or to give me a better, premium experience throughout the website, or some free shipping, whatever it can be. All these things should be interconnected, and the customer more and more is expecting that, thanks to Amazon and the likes of it.
Yes, no, absolutely. And, talking about the future of things, obviously Google, one platform that's constantly making updates and changing, they recently indicated that site speed is going to play a role in search engine ranking. Do you think that what do you think about the interplay between site speed, SEO, and all of conversion rate optimization?
Sure. So I would say that site speed is a foundation based on which your CRO and SEO efforts can bring results. Which means if you have a low site speed, or if you don't focus on that, and if you are tying with somebody in terms of the positioning or your ranking on Google, probably they will prefer a faster store. So it's not like it's going to make it or break it for sure if you don't put the budget there, if you don't focus on that. But it's that competitive edge that if you want to have, that's something that you should focus on. And regarding CRO, the same thing may apply. Who cares if your website is beautifully designed and if you have amazing products? If I need to wait 10 seconds to get to the next page, So
Right.
it's not. You have to figure out like it's not a black or white type of scenario. These are the obvious takes. The complicated decision starts to be how much am I willing to invest to make my website, I don't know, a half a second faster?
Mm-hmm.
And is it worthwhile to put in that money there, those resources there, or should I instead focus on something else? And that's the question that you always need to decide on a case by case scenario. And it's very hard to do so because usually there is a bunch of stakeholders that have different opinions on the topic.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up the zero part of the interview. Loved having you here, David. Thank you again so much. I
My
love
pleasure.
ending these interviews with a fun question so that people can get to know you. So the one that I'm going to do today is, if you were a flavor of ice cream, what flavor would you be and why?
I just basically need to say what's my favorite ice cream, I guess. I'm a
Yeah,
pistachio guy all the time.
love
Pistachio,
it.
like I always have like a feeling, oh, I want something more chocolate or fruity today. But if I didn't have ice cream in a long time, I need to go for pistachio. Like I just can't resist it.
I respect it. I love pistachio also. Thank you so much, David. Great having you.
Great to be here. Thank you.